EPR Women's Professional Network is the arm of Esther's Preparation Room, where we focus on empowering and equipping today's professional Christian woman to develop her skills, talents, and abilities so that she can deploy them in the marketplace. We achieve this goal through a number of avenues. First being our professional and personal development tools, which include monthly webinars, workbooks, assessments, and audio and video resources to help overcome the challenges most women face in their career and businesses. Second is our Inspiring Conversation series held on Instagram Live, 3 out of 4 Saturdays a month, featuring ladies within the network who are doing extraordinary things in their lives. Third being our Power Up Monday series, where one word is chosen and used to motivate members of the community. These powerful 1-minute bite-sized nuggets have been known to charge up EPR women as they enter into a new week. Next is our quarterly hangouts built to foster collaboration and networking. We've held activities such as virtual tea parties, celebrated International Women's Day, and other fun activities. Lastly is the annual Virtual Emergence Conference. EPR's Women's Professional Network is a PR women's.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kemi Akindutire. I am the global lead for the EPR Women's Professional Network, and it is my pleasure to welcome actually every one of you to today's webinar, which is the September edition of the EPR Women's Professional Network monthly webinar. We have an exciting topic today, a relevant topic today that I believe every woman in our audience, every individual actually should have some insight into. And my expectation and prayer is that everyone here will get at least one nugget. Our topic for today is show up strong. Develop your executive presence and etiquette for marketplace dominance. I'm going to say that again. Developing your executive presence and etiquette for marketplace dominance. I know everyone that's here today and everyone that's still going to be listening to this is looking for a way to go to that next level. And this is a topic that is relevant for all times, actually, now and in the future and in the past. So I'm looking forward to us learning, and growing, and not only just taking the knowledge that we gain, but using it to take practical action. We have, of course, the experts in the room that will help us navigate through this. So before I introduce them formally, I will say again, welcome to everyone and excited to having you here. For having you here. As you come join, I see we have a few people that have joined. In chat, please just say hi, tell us your name, where you're joining us from. I know we're a global platform. We have individuals from different locations across the globe. So please, if you can just say hi to us, it also gives me just some assurance that you can hear me very clearly. So I see some excitement in the room. Hi, Esther. Welcome, everyone. Who else is in the room? Hi, Moji Sala from Maryland, Esther from Kenya. I'm so glad to see you. Sheon Shabi from New Jersey. Jane from Nairobi, Kenya. Happy to see you too. My Kenya folks are in the room. Amazing. We have, I'm looking forward to seeing more people. So thank you. I'm glad you can all hear me. So without further ado, we have a lot to cover. So a few logistics for us today. First off is I would love for you all to ensure that as you come in, stay on mute as much as you can, as throughout the session, except when you're speaking, you'll naturally be on mute. But if you're in a noisy place, just make sure you check so that we don't have any interruptions. Also, we're here to learn. We're here to grow. So if you can, grab something to write with, your phone, a notepad, what have you, whatever it is, to make sure that you're capturing nuggets. My prayer is that each and every one of us, including myself, take away at least one nugget, one valuable insight. And sometimes it's that one insight that will be that game changer for you to take you to that next level. And that's the expectation. That's the prayer today. Also be prepared to engage and learn. Now, there is an incentive to engage and learn. There's an incentive for each of us to actually, post comments, share your thoughts and the likes. And it is important for you to I wanted to let you know that there's some gifts and prizes towards the end that would help you all, that to just encourage you all to participate. So ask questions, hint, hint, engage, participate in the conversation. And I'm glad, and I'm sure we're gonna have a great time. All right. Again, use the chat box as much as possible. Want to make sure that you are all set and ready to go. Now, EPR Women's Professional, for the benefit of those who are not a part of EPR Women's Professional Network, and if you're joining us for the very first time, please put that in chat. I know we have a lot of newbies that actually joined and signed up for this session. I want to just introduce the Women's Professional Network to you. We are a platform where today's professional Christian women can access tools, resources, we provide programs and the likes to help empower the professional Christian woman to deploy her gifts and her talents in the marketplace. And when you think of your marketplace, to us, it means your career, your business, your community, even in your home front, your mother, your wife, whatever you have found your hands to do in this season and in the future. We're here to help you achieve your very best in your personal and professional life. That's what we're here, why we're here. That is our purpose. That is our assignment. So this is one of the programs that we have. We shared in the opening video some other programs that we do have, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, especially at conference that's coming up in about a month and a half. So we're super excited about that, and just stay on to the very end and we'll share some more insights with you. Without further ado, we have a lot to cover. It is my pleasure to welcome our very first panelist, Folake Adeni Adelaide. She is an expert in the field of present and executive coaching. She has an extensive career, that spans 23 years plus, I believe, various industries, various sectors, industries, and actually globally. So she's worked with multiple multinational organizations. Currently, she's a regional director overseeing sub-Saharan African markets in a global IT multinational company. She works with executives and stakeholders on a daily basis in various locations. So we have a lot of great experience in the room. She also, as part of her helping executives, and I believe, she's not said this, but this is probably her life assignment, really, because from a personal life, she has experienced transitions from an executive perspective where, she, through a job loss and just, her own transition, she has founded a company called Coachivate, which is a platform that helps executives transition from, one level to the other, mid to senior level executives, really having that mindset, that presence, to really, and the skill set to help them get to that next level, to that C-suite level, so that they can make the impact that they desire. She hosts, a weekly room in Clubhouse. And I love that because, it's reaching even just a totally different, unique audience there. She's also certified, and you can read it on the in the profile here. She has various certifications to really equip her to deliver on this assignment that she has. On a personal level, a culinary enthusiast, and she loves dining out, traveling. She's a mother, she's a wife. She lives in Johannesburg, South Africa, and she has 2 daughters. So join me in welcoming her to our intro. I mean, she's actually not new to us. She was here with us in one of our previous webinars, which was extremely powerful, and we have her back. And I'm sure we will continue to have her back because she has so much to offer. Thank you, and welcome, Folake.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you.
Of course. And of course, we have Ngozi, who also has joined us today. Ngozi Prince Will Uche, I believe. I'm hoping I'm not, messing that up, but I think I got that right. She is also an extremely experienced and and with a wide range of expertise in the area of your business etiquette. She works with individuals and organizations to build their personal brand, to really help them excel in wherever they're operating. So as you can see in her profile, trained, educated, certified in various locations across the globe, UK, USA, UAE, Europe. She's extremely, awarded. She has lots of awards, several awards, as you can see, WIMBIZ, for the first, she's 100 most inspiring women in Nigeria in 2018, very best dressed, list of on Genevieve magazine. So she is bringing to us a perspective that's extremely unique, diverse, and global. She has been featured in various media platforms, as you can see this day, Ivory magazine, radio, and TV shows. Just, I can go on and on. Most importantly here, I just wanted to let you know that we have we have a lot of experience, we have a lot of expertise, seasoned expertise in the room to help us navigate these topics. And she will be focusing mainly on business etiquette, which goes hand in hand with executive presence. So join me and, just let's kind of go along here. As you learn, as you go along, as we navigate through this conversation, please ask questions, put your questions in chat. Our team is ready to capture those questions to ensure that we capture what's on your mind. The way this is going to work is I'm going to be asking questions. This is going to be a panel discussion. And I want to make sure that we have a nice view. I hope I'm not still sharing my screen and stop sharing. We're gonna have it's gonna be a panel discussion where I'll be asking questions, and both of our panelists will be sharing their insights. At some point, if I notice that you have a lot of questions, what I will do is I'm going to, just make sure that I have I have your questions answered as opposed to the questions that I have. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Okay. All right, so first question. I hope you can all see and hear me still. I was trying to make some adjustments. Okay, there you go. All right, so hi Ngozi, hi Folake.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for coming. You look lovely. Wow, I see the executive presence, the poise in the room. I'm challenged already.
I'm sure you're talking about Ngozi. I had to get some help here.
It's both of you. No, that was so amazing. And thank you so much for coming to pour into us. I know you're very passionate about this topic. And so I'm going to start with, some very basic foundational questions. We know, and we've heard, I know I've, done some of my research, and just based on experience, that executive presence and even business etiquette, it accounts for a whole lot. Some have said, more than 25% of what you do, or of what factors into you getting the promotion or getting in the room or in the C-suite, it has to do with executive presence and or even business etiquette, right? How you present yourself, how you show up in the room. As we know that the question now goes to, so do we even understand what that is? And I believe that this is also a biblical concept. As I was thinking about this, I think of Joseph. Joseph had to clean up. He had to have his message. He had to present himself for him to get in front of Pharaoh, right? He had to package himself so that he sold himself and got himself an amazing job when he got into the boardroom of Pharaoh. So I believe for us Christian professionals, this is so relevant, not just, secularly, but it's very practically and biblically. So as we think about that, we really want to know foundationally, what is it? So let's start with executive presence, for example. What is executive presence? Why is it important? Help us define it in very simple terms so we understand what it is. And when we think about the relevance, let's think about it from the career, business perspective, or, even in anywhere in our community that we have any area or any level of influence. Folake?
you, Kemi. Thank you for setting the tone and bringing the fire into the room. It is always such a pleasure to be here and also to collaborate with Ngozi. She's one of my favorite speakers, one of my favorite, especially when it comes to her assignment. So I really like the fact that you've put it all in context this morning. Thank you. Let me make the case, first of all, for executive presence before we go into what it is exactly. One of my favorite examples in the Bible, and shout out to a lot of my friends, colleagues, cheerleaders that are in the room. I really appreciate you. Thank you. You know what? I remember Esther, and Kemi, Esther is the one that readily comes to mind when we talk about executive presence. Esther had to, she didn't get the part because she was beautiful. She got the part, that was the first part, and then she had to stay relevant. And guess what? She had mentors and coaches who not only got her into the room, but made her relevant and helped her show up strong. That is really what executive presence is. She had help. She had Haggai, she had Mordecai, she even had the guy that actually tested her executive presence, tested her influence, tested her presence, in her role, and still helped her show up stronger. So even with executive presence, the test will come, right? But guess what? In this day of D VUCA D, and the first thing is, if you don't even know what D VUCA D is, then we really have a problem. In this day of D VUCA D, so we know about VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. The two Ds bordering VUCA are diversity and disruption. In these days of, and maybe some people still said, I can't remember who said it yesterday, that, wishing somebody a happy birthday and say and said something like, you are the shining light in this dark world. And that is really because, you know what, not only has the world, does the world continue to change, you need that extra source, that extra light, that extra illumination that puts you ahead of the game, aside from what it is that you know, what it is that you are qualified for, and what it is that you're doing. It's called being wise as serpents and being gentle as doves. That's what it is. So executive presence is about showing up in an authentic, strong way so that you can inspire confidence in the minds of your stakeholders and your decision makers, your team, your peers, your senior leaders, executive management, maybe even at home, your husband, your children. Executive presence is about having a voice, not just about what you say, right? But it's about how you say it, considering who you are saying it to, whether you're saying it in a proper manner. It's about taking advantage of the opportunities that you have and showing that you have capacity to get it done. That's what executive presence is. And people always mistake executive presence and, with perhaps how you look, how you appear. That's just a minute part of executive presence. Executive presence is very much about how you feel. You cannot give what you do not have. It starts with self-awareness. What is characteristic about you that you can step forward in strength, in wisdom, with understanding, knowing who you are and being comfortable in who you are. Not that there will be no fear, not that there will be no self-doubt, not that the imposter syndrome might not show up from time to time, but how are you navigating these waters based on who you are I talk a lot about strengths. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach. And there are times that I just coach strengths only because there's a lack of self-awareness. But that's where the clarity comes, from, first of all. Executive presence is about how you communicate. There are those that show up on, I've had a client, I talk about her a lot, who was really looking forward to a promotion to being a board member. She got to the executive team. She completely lost her voice. She completely lost her confidence. And this is somebody who, at face value, she is so confident, so well spoken. But we had to go into, hey, how best do you communicate? How do you consider your audience? How do you bring your communication tools, into practice? We had to go into the recesses of her heart and address upbringing and imposter syndrome issues that completely shut up her mouth because her confidence had also been closed up. So it's very much about how you communicate, what strategies apply to the room. How do you read the room before you even own the room? Executive presence is about how you look. And that's not about MAC makeup and it has stuff to do with it. Hint, hint, naked this morning. But Kemi this morning actually. But it's not just about that. It's also about your grooming. How well put together are you? What is speaking? What are you drawing attention to? And really being able to use that as a source of influence, right? And, use that to exude that presence. Executive presence is about how you relate. It's about your interpersonal abilities. It's about how people feel around you. It's about the energy that you bring into the room. And finally, it's also about how you appear. How you appear is very much about what is it that you are doing that helps people to, to garner, first of all, who you are in the room, but what do you do outside of the room? How are you managing your stakeholders? How are you keeping your team warm? How are you managing up, managing down, managing sideways, right? How do you come across? How do you stay in control of how people see you, but you also building the narrative of that, not just the intentionality now, but the intentionality about your reputation. Executive presence is about being intentional in a really dark world and having impact in the marketplace. I hope with these few words of mine, I have not confused you, Kemi.
No, you have not. I'm
just able to convince us.
You were able to convince us. The look you saw on my face was, wow, that was so comprehensive. That was so insightful. And I love the way you just tied various dimensions, from preparing to get into the room to being in the room and what you even do outside the room. It's an all-round, so to say, experience that you have to create, and the intentionality about that influence. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. I'm taking that and I'm sticking that in here to say, hey, it also, when I was thinking about the politics that we navigate through. It's that executive presence that also helps us to navigate through it, just like Esther did, right? Because she was dealing with intense politics. Thank you so much. I'm going to, so as you were talking, I'm sure elements of this, of etiquette, business etiquette came through, and I could see Ngozi nodding and feel like that's it. So how is it different, Ngozi, how is business etiquette different from executive presence? What is it? How is it different? And why is that important? Or, how is it related or different from it?
Okay. So hello everyone again, and Kemi, thank you so much for your invitation. It's always a privilege to serve, always.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to be here. And excuse me, as Falaka said, she's I was at her wedding Like I said before, I would have said I kept all her souvenirs. That's how much she means to me. But we're talking about some 20 something years. So having moved
23
house a couple of
plus.
times, I can't guarantee
23
that.
plus.
So yeah, great to be here. I will see if I can get maybe slightly brighter lighting, but let's go ahead. So in answer to your question, Kemi, there are actually more similarities than differences between business etiquette and executive presence. And etiquette, of course, also has to do with how you present yourself. Your dressing is a form of etiquette. It has to do with your conduct. It has to do with your communications. So if I can say why the need even, we're all aware that we live in a world where there is somebody who described it as rampant rudeness. It's a world of much hostility, and what we don't realize is that all this, should I say, a lack of civility, a lack of consideration, a lack of respect for the other person, it's actually taking a toll, be it on our health, business bottom lines. I mean, even when you look at society, larger society, and see all the shootings and all of that just basically fundamentally stems from a lack of regard for your neighbor, a lack of respect and consideration for the next person. So that is how extreme, it can actually get. Okay, so now if I am going to even talk about business etiquette a little bit more, I'd like to use a couple of examples. Number one, the greater the degree of, should I say, hostility or lack of consideration in an organization, I would say the more your level of productivity is actually hindered or affected. Okay, so where there's hostility, you find out that people are not exactly able to give of their best. They're not able to collaborate as they should. What that happens eventually is that productivity goes down, and with productivity is eventually your bottom line. With your bottom line, your reputation, your interaction with your customers, all of that is affected. And I'll use Cisco as an example. A few years ago, Cisco found out that incivility was actually costing them a lot, okay, in terms of what it would take you to even settle disputes between your organization and your customers, in terms of customers who are lost to the competition because of the way your internal customers, your staff, your employees interact with them. And in turn, they're interacting because of the atmosphere of hostility within which they're being forced to deliver. Okay, and so they costed it, and they found that it was costing them about $12 million a year. Yes, and this was what inspired Cisco to set up their global workplace civility program. So they actually became intentional about it. So what Falake was saying, intentionality. If we're going to achieve any results in life, we're going to have to be deliberate. We're going to have to be intentional. So they found out that this was actually costing them money, a lot of it. And so the Global Workplace Civility Program was, was set up, and to date, Cisco consistently appears on, the companies that are the best places to work. You know what I mean? But this was because they actually attacked what it was that was undermining their ability to pursue and accomplish their corporate goals. Okay, so it's important. It's important for us to have a business etiquette in place as rising professionals, whatever organization you're building. If your corporate culture is one that is undermining the goals and objectives you're setting for your organization, yeah, you're going to find it difficult to actually accomplish those goals. Peter Drucker, he's a management guru. I'm sure a number of people here have heard about him. He is the one that famously said that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So if you have the most amazing strategy and the people upon whom you're depending to implement that strategy, they're not with you. Let me just put it that way. They're not just, they're not they've not bought into your strategy, they've not bought into your objectives because of the hostile culture within which they're working. Then you're going to find that you're not going to be able to deliver as you planned. So it's important. The whole idea of etiquette is, how do we interact with one another? Basically, are we treating one another with respect? Are we undermining one another? Are we putting down other people's gifts in order for us to shine? Are we excluding certain people? Are we obviously demonstrating favoritism? For example, we're talking about business now, so I'm limiting it to the business environment. So all these things are important. How we interact with one another. We know that at the end of the day, business is all about relationships. Okay, so it's the people that you meet, the people you interact with, the people you do business with, the people who do business with you, who work for you. It's the way that you show up for every one of them. If you're able to treat people with dignity and let them understand that whatever it is they're bringing to the table is valued, and they themselves, that you have chosen to treat them with respect, with regard, because you appreciate whatever it is that they're there doing, that they're there for, then you're walking the right path, basically, because then you're able to bring out the best in people. So business etiquette is important. It definitely is important.
Wow. I have never thought of it from that perspective. You wove in some very critical organizational strategy, organizational cultural concepts. And I love the way you broke it down to just go back to the bottom line of any business. And so as leaders, as employees, individual contributors, whatever you want to call us, as entrepreneurs that are building our own businesses, this is so critical. And one of the things that was also coming to mind for me was, the concept of respect and dignity. This is just really tying it back to the word of God for Christians that we are.
Absolutely.
It's treating people with compassion, with love. Yes. Love has to drive everything that we're doing. Exactly. So if we anchor ourselves in that reality, right, we can't go wrong, right? Whether we are influencing people or impacting people, going back to executive presence, how do people feel when they're around me as a leader, as a team member, and all that? And I just love the way you broke it down. I have never heard business etiquette broken down like that. Thank you so much for providing that insight. Oh, wow. I hope you all are loaded. If you have questions, I'm going to pause here to say, I want to make sure that we're addressing questions that are relevant to you, right? So if you have any specific questions, you're thinking of any scenario that you have that you're navigating, please put it in the chat box so that we can capture it early in the game, because we really just have a few minutes with our amazing panelists today. With that being said, I'm going to go quickly to our next question. And I'm going to go back to Folake. Hi. All right. So I'm going to confess, being authentic, right? D-vocadi, I had to Google it. And shamefully,
that was the point.
I was like,
that was
oh my God, and I'll share a little bit more why that's so important to me right now, just separately. But that describes the reality of the dark world that we're in over the past going to 3 years now, right? The world has changed. We are operating in a totally different world where organizations, individuals, we're still trying to figure this thing out. We're working virtually, we're interacting with people differently. We're interviewing, getting oriented into new organizations, new teams virtually. Some people have never, I was talking to a leader the other day, she was meeting her employee that was actually leaving the company, she was going to do an exit interview, but she had never met her because she hired her during the pandemic. And the first time she's meeting her is when she's leaving the company. So our reality has changed. Wow. You see what I mean? If they got hired in 2020, 2021, nobody was seeing each other. You see what I mean? So my point is the way we interact, be it executive presence, be it, etiquette and regarding people, it has changed. That fabric has changed. So how can you share with us some tips, kind of putting that in perspective? How has that changed or not? What are additional tips that you can give, especially if you're not interacting physically, you're not entering into spaces physically? How do you even read a room that is virtual, right? I'm sure you're reading this room, so I'm sure you have some tips for us. And we and even relevant for us EPR, where we've been virtual and global since the very beginning. So there's some people that maybe we see each other once or twice a year, but that's how we've operated. What tips do you have for us from that perspective, thinking of executive presence?
Really, really great question. Not just because our world has become increasingly virtual, but also because a lot of us work hybrid. So some of us go into work, some of us work purely remotely, but many of us actually, are hybrid workers. We go into work a few times a week, stay home a few times a week, and that's absolutely the new normal. I think what is extremely relevant in terms of how you bring your presence into the room is, I've said it again, one of them is how you appear. Perception is reality. How you are perceived face to face should be completely consistent with how you are perceived even on camera or even off camera. And therefore, if people see you as an etiquette coach, using Ngozi as an example, in person, you've been invited to speak, you're on stage, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's so well put together, blah, blah, blah. And then when it comes to you being on camera, for example, everything is all upside down. It's dark in the room. You are not, you are practically looking like you've just come out of your PJs. You choose not to even be on camera. You're the one that, everybody else is on the video, and you are giving off, you are communicating something. You're already saying something without saying it. So when you are in a virtual world, what are you saying? What is it that you are saying? What voice are you actually putting out there? What signs are you putting out there? Are you as well put to? You are a senior level executive, and you are the one on camera that hasn't put any thought, or you don't even look like you've put any should I say effort into how you are looking, into how you are coming across. When I prep people for executive interviews, I talk to them not only about how to answer the question, tell me about yourself, or what are your weaknesses, and so on and so forth. I talk to them about lighting. I talk to them about making sure that there are no interruptions. Because I'm not talking about your lighting, so that's not you. I know where you are, so I understand what's going on there. But you are the one that the colors are all over the place and stuff like that. There's a reason why we're in block colors this morning. Right? Ngozi is in white, I'm in black, even though it wasn't planned. But believe it or not, block colors do better on camera as opposed to a few colors all over the place. That's the truth, because we all, our resolution on cameras and things like that are different. All of these things are saying something. So virtually, the principle remains the same. What do you want to say? What do you want to communicate? Right? I have people in the place that I'm in right now, and you might see people walking up and down, but my background is blurred for a reason. It's so that you are not distracted. And that's because I want the focus to be on me, right? As a senior level person, as an expert, as a speaker. I don't want it to be on the background. Right? So there's a reason why the background is the way that it is. If EPR gave me a background today and say, use this background for the program, that's what a lot do right now. It's not just for the fancy part of it. It is for presence. It is for etiquette. It is because, you know what, at the end of the day, we want the focus to be exactly where it is. So virtually, what are you saying? And that's really what is important. What do you want people to perceive about you? If you want people to perceive a serious expert, or you want people to perceive a laid-back slob, It's all about what it is that you are communicating on camera as well as off camera, how you are relating, how you are appearing. So the kind of words that you use, how open and approachable are you even on camera? Do you build humor? Just to help set the tone and to put everybody at rest. Do you my one-on-ones with my team, for example, in this during and post pandemic, moved from just us going straight to an agenda. Okay, what happened last week? Okay, what do we need to do better? Okay, what about those projects? What are they saying? It went from that to spending like the first 45 minutes of a 90-minute call on just how are you? What are you thankful for? What were the highs and lows during the weekend? Kemi, what did you do differently? Oh, Ngozi, what made that wedding so extra special? It moved from just being about work to also incorporating well-being. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, especially as a feminine leader, do not be afraid to bring your feminine side to bear. That's what the boardroom needs today. The boardroom has never been a perfect place. Executive council, team leadership, extended leadership team meetings, it has never been a perfect place. Today, more than ever, is where they need your wisdom, where they need your poise, where they need your special characters, where they need your intuition, where nobody's thinking in the room and you are like, I'm not sure why I'm actually, bringing this up, but I really feel, if you can use feel, you can look for the facts to back it up later, but I really feel that we must do something that is, and then talk about that relevant area and so on and so forth. I'm done speaking. I'm handing it to Ngozi right now.
Wow. You just hit, a very important, topic, the kind of bringing our feminine self into leadership. Interestingly, I was sharing with you that we just got back from Kenya earlier this year, where we had our first leadership summit, and we had a very engaging conversation about the new face of leadership. And there was a lot of discussion about the woman and the value that we bring into these spaces that weren't really welcome to us, that were not welcoming to us, or our unique characteristics, right, to help us differentiate ourselves. The new face of our compassion, I feel, and all that is so relevant, and it's a differentiator for us. So you just hit on something really relevant indeed. And so thank you for bringing that up. We have a lot of questions. So Ngozi, if you can take a couple of minutes and kind of share the same, similar question. Mm-hmm. And all that. And then I'll go to the questions in the room. The questions are flowing. So I'm excited. We're going to shift gears just a little bit after you answer the question again. How has, the concept, if at all, it has evolved, with the pandemic and post the pandemic?
Okay, so with the pandemic and post pandemic, well, the truth is there was always virtual before pandemic. Right. What pandemic did was to force us even more into it, so definitely whatever you do in real life, you have to extend to whatever your virtual connections, interactions, and so forth are. Let me even spread it as wide as social media, for example. There's something about social media that, because you're perhaps in the privacy of your home, the privacy of your room, you're there typing away, somehow you feel somewhat, is it just invincible? And you also kind of feel you're in a sort of bubble. You're not thinking to yourself that this is something that maybe 100, 2,000, a million people can even get to see. You just think you're having a conversation with whoever you're having a conversation with. But the truth of the matter is that even now, with digital footprints and all that, even your presence online, via social media, is just as important as your day-to-day physical interactions. So don't even think that this is a part of you. We all know about digital first. We know about anchoring. So if you even see my name, one of the first things you're going to do is maybe look me up online to just get a feel. I mean, I did it to you, Kemi, and I'm sure you did it to me too. You know what I mean? So we have digital first, where, a lot of times your first interaction with someone else, with the public, with an audience, is digital. They're checking you out. And when you put the name in, Twitter is going to come up, Instagram is going to come up. You know what I mean? So if you're there being a complete clown on Twitter, and then you want people to take you extremely seriously, because this is the way you show up, on a day-to-day, physically, there's going to be that conflict. There will be that conflict. So
Love it.
it's just as important, that integrity, that
Wow.
consistency is important across all the platforms, on
Yes.
which you engage, which is why it has to be authentic. And for it to be authentic, you have to sit down and audit certain things about yourself, certain things about the way that you show up, the way that you interact with people, and decide, that this is the way going forward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
once you've decided that, let that be you. Let it be real. Okay, let it be something that comes from within. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
one day you're going to expose yourself. You
Yes.
understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah.
let it be because you believe that there's a value, there's a virtue
Yeah.
that you're delivering by showing up in this particular way. It's
Yeah.
something that's true to you, and it's something that you understand to be of value to you and of benefit to the people that you interact with.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Oh my God, I love that angle. Social media. Mm-mm-mm. I mean, that's a big topic for all of us. The various platforms. Sometimes we think, oh, LinkedIn is professional, but on the other platform, you're right. I mean, I being in front of kind of identifying speakers and all that, that's where I go. What's the person saying? What did they say the last, and everything. That's what gives up, because we don't, sometimes you just don't know people, right? And everything. And I know that from even with recruitment, people do that when the people are trying. That's one of the ways that people get to research us and everything. And so
Absolutely.
let's do a self audit. So I'm going to go quickly to our questions. We only have 12 minutes, so God help us. We have at least 4 or 5 questions, so we'll see how far we can go. So we're going to do a rapid one, right? So, okay. So, Falake, this goes straight to you. Can personality interfere with your executive presence? Can you show up and still stay true to yourself? Are all personality types welcome in the C-suite? So if you can, a minute or so, just rapidly help us capture that. How does our personality come into place? Can there be a conflict there? And how do you deal with that? That's from Titi.
That is such an awesome question. I'm trying to catch it because it looks like 3 questions in
Is it 3
one.
questions in one? However,
Oh
if you
my
can look at it
gosh.
from the standpoint of, I have a unique personality, I'm unique.
I've
Are
seen it,
all
yeah.
personalities welcome in the city? Or should you, speaking of being authentic, so how do I show up authentically with my personality? And are people going to look at me funny because of my unique personality? I'll give you an example, that comes to mind. If I'm an introvert and everything, how do I present myself, personality wise, right? How do I present myself? And are introverts welcome in the boardroom?
The first thing is this: everybody is welcome in the boardroom. The boardroom is about a complementarity of skills and not just doing things in one way. Can you imagine if everybody in the boardroom was the same? I mean, I don't want to be on that board. That would be extremely boring and extremely one-sided. So that is the first thing to establish. The second thing about, personality and executive presence, and I said it earlier, executive presence starts with how you feel on the inside. Who are you? What are your strengths? Somebody will call it, as I think it was Rick Warren who first talked about shape, spiritual gifts, your heart, your abilities, and so on and so forth. What is your shape? What exactly how strong are you in how you believe in yourself? What are your strengths? As a strengths coach, I say to people, it's not just about knowing your top 5 strengths or your 30 strengths or whatever. It's really about how you put it to use. And when you get to know your top 5 strengths, mine, for example, and they all have different meanings, right? So my top 5 include maximizer, relator, how can I forget myself? Relator, significance, command, and connectedness. All these five actually have their meanings, right? But when you get to know your strengths, the thing about executive presence is you also get to know what your blind spots are. Mm-hmm. And your blind spots is really what you also pay attention to, because that's what can mar your reputation, right? Mm-hmm. So you pay attention to, so we relators, for example, we get along with people very easily. Right. The life of the party where we very self-assured, very, very much into relationships. However, we can come across as cliquish. Mm-hmm. We can come across as almost cultish. And therefore, you've got to pay attention to how are you perceived, even when you are the best relationship magnet in the room, and so on and so forth. So, and for those of us who are, not me, but for those who are introverts and they're very much into data, it's, and really being able to internalize, and think very deeply, right. That is needed in the boardroom. You can show up with that and people respect you for it. Because, this is the person that's going to bring a different perspective. This is the person that's going to, help us see what, others are not seeing around the corners, and so on and so forth. So all personality types are welcome in the C-suite. It's now how you navigate that interview, that special presentation, that boardroom politics, that right. Senior level politics, right. With your, personality. Wow. And that's where, your coach, your mentors, your sponsors, yes. Like Ngozi and Folake, that's yes. Exactly where they come in.
Yes, beautiful. And Yara, and we'll have a minute to kind of capture kind of the opportunities to have to work with you. And I'm looking at a couple of questions here as you were talking, to just see how I can combine some of them. I have a question around, and I'll combine this one with communication. It says, how does a person balance formality and informality in an official setting when attempting to build relationships with higher ups? And then there's another one that talks about how do I build my communication skills? Because the whole informality and formality could also tie to, how you communicate, yes, right? Sure. And all that. And I'll tie a third one to it. And so how do you deal with imposter syndrome, especially when pushing a management position? So we talk about formality and informality, communications. How do I communicate effectively, and what do I, how do I develop my communication skills, and dealing with imposter syndrome when pushing a management position, because it also deals with, how do you relate from the inside out, the answers. I'm just winging it, but hope that makes sense. So do you, Ngozi, do you want to take that and then, so that we rotate it?
Okay, so, when it comes to communication, this is a question that I've actually been addressed on another occasion, a couple of other occasions. And sometimes people feel that there was a particular woman who even talked about the fact that she had an accent. And that was sort of affecting her confidence. She felt it was getting in the way of people maybe taking her more seriously. Communication is something that we actually learn. Yeah? If you want to be a better communicator, it is something that you can deliberately improve upon. Right. We all went through primary school, secondary school, and a lot of those classes we had in English language and all of that, they were teaching us how to communicate, isn't it? Basically. So it's something that definitely you can do more. You can get a coach. But I don't want anyone to think that because they don't have like a crisp British accent or whatever, then that is somehow taking away from who they are or how they appear to other people, or even the level of seriousness with which other people can, accord to them. Right. Definitely. Maybe because I speak also other languages, your accent is just part of you. You know, for some reason, it tends to be Africans who seem to have a problem with this. You know, so you have French people who have obvious broad French accents. You have Japanese, Chinese. I remember once I was trying to change a flight booking on Qatar, and the person I was dealing with, he had such a broad Indian accent, I could not understand a single thing he was saying. In such a situation, it is important for you to learn how to communicate better, because effective communication means I have spoken and you have understood what I'm saying. So in a situation where you can't understand what I'm saying, then I really definitely need help. You know, in such a situation, it would be nice for me to maybe learn how to enunciate more clearly so that people can understand what it is that I'm trying to communicate. But if you're a clear communicator and all you're dealing with is maybe an accent, you know, don't feel bad about that. That's all part of who you are. You know, when I look at somebody like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and she shows up in her Ankara with her, you know, people have started copying her gele style, you know, the way she ties her scarf. Now, maybe somebody would have, you may not, maybe she does it that way because she doesn't know any other way. Do you understand? She didn't even deliberately set out to do something unique that will start trending. She just did it because, okay, I don't have 10 minutes to spend on this. So let me just do this one. Let me be going, Joe. You understand? And at the end of the day, it's become something that people are looking at her and they're saying, wow, this is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala challenge. You know, let me tie my scarf in the same way because she's become so successful. You know, so what I'm really trying to say by saying all that is be comfortable and confident in who you are. That's for, like I was talking about diversity. Excuse me. You know, God has made us all originals. And the whole idea of executive presence or etiquette is not for you to become, you know, cookie cutter. You understand, not a clone, lose your personality, just be this kind of bland person who's following all the rules. Don't ever lose your personality. That's what makes you unique. You know, their strengths, as Falake has clearly shared with us, to who you are, who God has made you. Now, the interesting thing is for you to be able to bring all that, you know, channel it in such a way that you're adding value to all the people that you're interacting with. You know, so yes, if your communication means that other people cannot even understand you, seek help. But if it's just a question of, you know, I'd like to sound a little more refined and all of that, so long as you're communicating, you're making sense, and people are understanding you, you're fine. Now, as far as the formality and informality, the point is that you have to be sure that you don't lose that fundamental regard, fundamental respect, you know, for the people that you're communicating with. So some people take informality to be that, okay, you know, no holes, you understand, like I can just talk to you anyhow, you know, be rude, make jokes that are insensitive. That's not informality, that is just rudeness. You know, so even if we're being informal and we're cracking jokes and we're letting our head down, where, you know, so maybe we're all hanging out at a restaurant or something, always ensure that at the background or at the bottom of every communication, there is respect. And there is consideration.
Right. All right. Wow, that is amazing. And again, I love the way you tied it, you know, back to, you know, hey, be yourself, be authentic, you know. I love the whole accent question issue. Honestly, I'm sure it's an issue for a lot of us, you know, especially if you're in diaspora. And I hope that answers the question. I know in the interest of time, and I want to be sensitive to our time and everything. I'm trying to see if there's another question here. So Ngozi Falake, are you good for another few minutes or?
Yes, go ahead, Kemi.
Sure.
All right, so I'll take one more question. Let me see. This is an interesting one. Okay. What are some smart or notable ways to interact or network on LinkedIn, social media, especially LinkedIn from a professional perspective? I know, Ngozi, you had talked about social media and how you present yourself, but this is about interacting, reaching out to people. When I think about that, as entrepreneurs, you have people, once you put your profile up there on what you're doing, you have people that are interacting. Oh, you're supposed to be prospecting, right? And selling, and that's where you're doing your B2B activities and everything. And also professionally, as in your careers, there's some ways to interact. So what tips do you have for us from that perspective?
Okay, you want me to go first?
You can go. So you just went, Professor Falake. You go.
Go ahead, Falake. I thought she was looking at me.
Sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. Again, being deliberate and intentional about how you show up is the first thing about social media presence.
Right.
Social media is where we work and play, right? But again, how do you want to be perceived?
Yeah.
If executive presence is first of all about how you, one of the 5 building blocks, how you appear, then how do you want to appear? If I am, no, not if I am an executive coach. Yes. I am an HR executive. Yes. I am an NLP practitioner. I am a speaker. However, if on executive, I beg your pardon, if on LinkedIn, I want to show up as the best plantain chips seller, and that's how I want to be perceived, then what do I start doing on LinkedIn?
You start selling plantain.
Thank you. Not only do I start selling plantain chips, my profile must reflect the plantain chip seller.
Yes.
My headline must reflect the sort of work experience that I have, or the more recent one has to reflect that. The things that I say, the comments that I make, who I follow, the interactions, the things that I forward, that I share, they have to be about plantain chips. They have to be about the health benefits of plantain chips. They have to be about what plantain chips will do for you that no other snack has done for you. So you can tell that I love my plantain chips by now,
see. Right? I was going to ask, have you sold plantain chips before? But different conversation.
I've never sold plantain chips before, but I have tried enough brands today to know the one, my favorites, out of them. But of course, it's an exaggerated example, but you get the point. So if you go to my headline today on executive presence, and I beg your pardon, on LinkedIn, you would tell that it's the same person. You can't miss it in terms of the person that I've also presented here. Right. An HR expert, a coach, an executive coach. It shows my expertise, the sort of things that I share, who I follow. Right. It's all there. That's how to interact on LinkedIn. Yeah. And by the way, social media presence today, again, be deliberate and intentional. If I was going to interview Ngozi for a management position, trust me, you think I'm just going to look on social media, on LinkedIn. I'm going to check LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. This is not just a Rumata. What is she doing? How is she coming across? What are her hobbies? I have gone into interviews just talking about people's hobbies that I have seen them do on Facebook. And I have it has actually put me in really good light, not just with the candidate, but even as a candidate in the past. Say, I've seen this about you on LinkedIn. How do you manage to combine this and work? Or somebody has a shared passion. That's where the conversation starts from. So be very consistent about what you are putting out there. For the world. Remember about, how you don't put your candle under a bushel, right? You cannot go to my Instagram page at Coachivate and you miss the fact that I am a Christian. It's not possible. I am a Christian executive coach. Before I'm a Christian, I beg your pardon. First, before I'm a mom, before I'm a wife, before I'm an executive coach, before I'm an HR expert, and so on and so forth. So what do you want people to see? That's important.
I love it. Love it. Love it. I don't know if you have any other, ads, Ngozi, otherwise, I'll just have us share a couple of wrap up, thoughts just in the
Um,
interest of time. Did you want to add anything else to that?
well, let me take it from, let's say, a practical perspective, where if I were to share a few tips about
Mhm.
networking on LinkedIn, I would say, for example, join groups that you have something in common with or that you're aspiring to. I would say leave comments. You know, when people post things, leave comments or likes.
Mhm.
Um, from time to time, share something. You know, all that is networking. You
Right,
know, so just ensure that you're commenting, you're reading, and
right,
you're sharing. You can share
right.
some other people's posts. You know, things like that. Make up your mind every time you go on LinkedIn. Maybe you follow or you request. What is it now? You request invitations or you
You
you send an invitation
invitation
to
Yes,
to
connect.
someone
yes.
Yes.
to follow
You know,
them.
so
Connect.
send invitations to connect to a few people. You know,
Yeah,
so just be intentional like that about
yeah,
reaching out, making your voice heard, you know, leaving a comment and so forth, you know. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's just a practical way in addition to all that Falake has shared.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And I see, thank you so much, Falake, for putting the social media handles for both of you, actually. Thank you so much for helping there
You did?
for on in the chat box. So if you want to follow either Falake or Ngozi or both, and I recommend both, I would say please go ahead and follow them. And hey, you know, we have the experts in the room. You've heard what they're about. You've heard what they you know what they bring to the table. They're coaches in their own right. They work individually with with people like you and I. And so if you've heard something, you're drawn to them, please reach out, seek for an opportunity to actually leverage their services. And I did mention earlier that there will be a couple of people that would actually win prizes for interactions today. So, and I've been having my eye on the chat box to see who's interacting. And the first person on my list today that I believe should get a 1 hour coaching or a 1 session coaching session with Ngozi is Theodora. She's been extremely interactive. She's had a lot of questions. She's posted comments. So Theodora, thank you so much for your interaction. Um, I knew you were going to be excited. She's one of our leaders within EPR Global, and I'm sure she'll really, really appreciate it. All right. And then the second person is also one of our ladies here. She was the first person to ask a question. And it might seem like partiality, but but I think Titi Olubajo, she's also one of our leaders. We've been in a session with Folake Adeni Adeleye. So Titi, I hope you're excited.
Excited. God
I'm
bless
sure
you.
you'll appreciate it.
And maybe just to shed a bit more light, of course, as coaches, even where we do pro bono work, on a good day, you would not be paying less than $2,000, $3,000,
Yes.
dollars to actually work with a business etiquette or an executive coach.
Yes.
So we are here to, of course, also be a blessing. And you know what? People do make these investments in themselves because it is extremely important. You cannot go wrong with investing in yourself. There's no need to wait for the organization. No need to wait until, I get promoted and I'm going to do that. No knowledge is lost right now.
Right now.
And so very, very important. And I'm sure, Kemi, we can share the details with you later as to how these individuals get in touch with us.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And so next time you come for an EPR webinar, interact. And thank you to all who did interact, because I know there are a lot more people that interacted. We were trying to capture that. We do have another giveaway for anyone who, is joining us for the very first time. Do we have any newbies in the room who's joining us for the very first time? You've not been for an EPR. Oh, I have Pauline. Hi, Pauline. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else? And Pauline, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Kenya.
Wow, we have Kenya ladies in the room. Who else? I think I have 3 people. Oh wow, Bridget, Ifeoma, nice to have you. Bridget, where are you joining us from? Bridget from Nigeria, and Ifeoma.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hey, Bridget.
All right. Welcome. What about Ifeoma? Where are you joining us from?
In Zaria, Kaduna State.
Wow, Nigeria, Zaria, Kaduna State. Wow. Well, welcome
to Ifeoma.
Nice. Yes. Nice. Thank you. Did I miss anyone?
Okay. I also see Mrs. Folashade Oluwole
in
the house.
Wow. I didn't see her. I'm missing let me see. All right. Hi, Folashade. Also, I see Juliet joining from San Francisco. Wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Again, for now, Kumbi, you tell me who the first person that indicated that their hair is, so that I can know, because you also get a prize from EPR. So we send you a special gift, a love gift, to just, appreciate you joining us. So we usually do that for the first person that raises up their hand. So Kumbi will let me know who that is. So thank you so much. EPR is the place to be. We do lots of, we share lots of resources, empowering resources, and bring amazing speakers like this into our midst, which, who we really just appreciate. These are the true blessings, right? We're just an avenue to navigate and to bring these, resources, these insights to your life. So I hope you all take advantage of the gifts that we have in the house today. A few more announcements. Actually, before I go into announcement, I want to just say a huge thank you to our speakers. Please, ladies, can you give a virtual round of applause to our amazing speakers today?
Applauding for because it's poor etiquette to applaud yourself. So
we applaud you. We bless you. Thank you so much for pouring into us. Just from the preparation and everything, I could feel the passion, the love. I mean, they were even the ones that said, we want to give people that interact with these gifts and everything. And so right now, you heard it, about $6,000 has been given away today, at least, right? If I'm right, and I hope we all appreciate what they've shared. No, in fact, more than that, because they've spent, so let's add another ×2, because they spent an hour with us. $12,000 has been poured into us, and God knows that EPR can afford it in Jesus' name. So ladies, just please appreciate them. So thank you so much for all you've done. We love you. We appreciate you. We look forward to continuing to partner with you all. Ladies, we know that you got a lot from this session. You said it in chat and everything. Once you close the Zoom session, you will receive a survey. Please just take a moment. It's not going to take you more than 2 minutes to just fill it out. We need your feedback. We want to know the topics you want to hear about. We want to get your feedback on how you really felt. We need data, right? This is how we tell our stories, right? In the future, and also to inform what we do in the future. So please share your feedback. We love it. We use it to help us continue to improve. Thank you, for staying on, the 23 folks that are on. This is me sharing the most important, the EPR baby, right? For, EPR Global. We are in the process of planning for our Emergence Conference, which is taking place in November. This is it's a virtual conference. We call it our Christmas, right? It's the most, important time of the year. Our theme is innovate. God gave us that word. We know that in this time and season, we've emerged, we're transforming, and this is the time for us to shift our mindsets, shift how we do things, how we show up. This is all part of it, how we reinvent ourselves, reinvent our businesses, so that we can also reinvent the world around us or influence the world around us. So our early bird tickets are out between now and the end of October. You can pay $40 for the tickets. We're going to have amazing speakers, amazing topics in various industries across the globe that will be speaking at this conference. Lots of interaction, not just speakers, but also interaction. So again, sign up for it. We have opportunities for people to be sponsors, for people to be exhibitors. So lots of opportunities there. So if you can go to our website, emergence2022.eprglobal.com. We just opened up registration. So sign up. This is the place you want to be to set you up for 2023. Okay. All right. And especially for those of us who are joining us for the very first time, we're a community, we're a network. We have a lot more going on than the conference and, even these sessions. So to learn more about what's going on within the EPR community, we encourage you to join us via our social media handles. It's at EPR Global, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're there. And most importantly, join our community at eprglobal.com. This is where you can connect with us. We have various resources. We're continuing to build that community because the vision is big. We're offering a lot right now, but the vision is huge. So join our community. Don't miss out. This is the time to join, to be a part of this amazing work that we're doing. So we look forward to having you. And again, join us at eprglobal.com. Ladies, we have come to the end of this session today. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you and wish you an amazing weekend ahead, and looking forward to hearing from you, receiving your feedback, and we'll be sharing more about the upcoming sessions that we'll have hopefully in October. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Kemi Akinduture signing off and saying thank you to even our speakers for being such wonderful, wonderful panelists for us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Ngozi. Thank you, Kemi. Thank you, ladies. Wishing you very well. Bye.
All right. Have a nice weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes.